Hello everyone, welcome to the new episode of the Current Affairs series of Academy of Civil Services. Our topic for today is Unlawful Activities Prevention Act Amendment 2019. All of you must have heard of the UAPA Act, that is known as the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. Originally, this act was passed in 1967. In 1967, we will discuss in detail when the country was under a particular political situation. To prevent any anti-national activities from any corner of India, Parliament of India passed a strict Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, simply known as the UAPA Act. In 2019, we brought certain amendments to the UAPA Act 1967, and these amendments were highly controversial and it has been discussed, and one group of people and they are criticizing that because it may lead into some draconian law, it may lead into some exploitation. Another argument is that this is required for the national security. Anyway, without going into these arguments may be necessary for our mains preparation, and we are going into the content of the amendment that is required for our next year's UPSC Civil Services preliminary examination. Let us have a discussion on this. And going back to the history, and if you are looking to the history of the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act 1967, first time it was passed in 1967. In multiple occasions it has been amended. In 2004, there was an amendment to the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. 2004, once we amended. Again, we amended in 2008 after the Mumbai terror attack of the 26/11 attack in Mumbai city, and we amended. We made it more stronger. And again, we amended in 2012. Also, we had amended the UAPA Act. And 2019 is the latest amendment to UAPA Act. Then according to situations, in different occasions we have amended this act. And firstly it was introduced in 1967. And 1967, it was an attempt for preventing certain organizations and individuals from being involved in any anti-national activity. And going specifically into the reason, in 1967, after Indo-China war finished, and the DMK, Dravida Munneta Kazhagam of Tamil Nadu, they went into the Tamil Nadu State Legislative Assembly election, taking a new agenda in their manifesto, that was secession of the Tamil Nadu from the Republic of India, and that is taking Tamil Nadu away from the Republic of India. And this was considered as an anti-national activity or some unlawful activity. To prevent that, we brought the UAPA Act 1967. In the original act, when it was brought, the situation was completely different when we are making an amendment to that particular act in 2019. And we can see what are the amendments suggested, or what are the amendments passed in 2019 by Parliament of India into UAPA Act. First thing is that according to UAPA Act, so far till 2019, government had a power to declare an organization which is involving in any terrorist activity or any anti-national activity as a terrorist organization. But there was no power for the government of India to declare any person as a terrorist or an individual terrorist. This 2019, one of the most controversial provision of this Amendment Act was also this one, and that is individuals can be declared by government of India as a terrorist. Now, if you are analyzing this is if you are analyzing with the political system of India, India is a liberal democratic polity, and we have a system of executive and judiciary. Whether executive is an authority to reach into a final judgment that this person is a terrorist, or on what criteria we will decide that person as a terrorist, or whether it is the duty of judiciary. Judiciary has declared many people in India as terrorists, and they have been executed according to the Indian law after following the procedure established by law so far. At the same time, giving the power to executive or government of India, the power to declare a person as a terrorist. Now, according to this act, central government is empowered to declare or designate individual as terrorist. Earlier, there was only provision to designate organizations as terrorist organization. Under UAPA Act, we have declared many organizations as terrorist organizations. From now, after the 2019 amendment to UAPA Act, government has an extra power to designate a particular individual as a terrorist. Now, second clause of the UAPA Amendment Act 2019 or 2019. One thing is that if a person or an organization is suspected to be a terrorist organization, earlier also there was a power for the NIA, there was a power for the government of India to investigate and to confiscate the property of the person or to seize the property of the person. But that seizure can be done by taking the state into confidence. A central government agency is making the seizure of the property or confiscation of the property of a person or an organization supposed or suspected to be a terrorist organization or a terrorist individual can be done by the central government organizations. An investigating officer, mostly these cases would be investigated by the National Investigation Agency. Then investigating officers of central government had the power to confiscate the property of a suspected terrorist organization or an individual with the consent or with the permission of the Director General of Police, DGP of the police. Obviously, all of you know, DGP of the police is under the state government. Then it was an activity in collaboration between the central government agencies and the state government mechanism for law and order. Then with the permission of Director General of Police, earlier, before 2019, the investigating officers had the power to make the seizure and confiscation of the property. Now, after the amendment, this DGP's power has been removed. Now, DGP has no much role in confiscation of the property. Confiscation of the property can be done by the investigating officers with the permission and the approval of Director General of NIA, National Investigation Agency. Director General of NIA is an office under the central government of India. That means the state government's involvement or the power of the state government in controlling or in making the investigation into the terrorist activities has been curtailed, has been reduced, and the central agencies have been given more power under UAPA Amendment Act 2019. Now we can see the next clause, and more power has been given to National Investigation Agency under UAPA Amendment Act 2019. We have to discuss one more act in another video. We'll discuss, that is the National Investigation Agency Amendment Act 2019. National Investigation Agency Act, NIA Act, was also amended in 2019, that we will discuss later in detail. Now, by UAPA Amendment Act, NIA, National Investigation Agency, has also been given more power. How? Earlier, investigating a case which involves any activity of terrorism can be done by the Deputy Superintendent of Police, DYSP, Deputy Superintendent of the Police, was able to do the investigation, or Assistant Commissioner or a police officer in the rank of Assistant Commissioner had the power to investigate a case involving the terrorism. Then to be eligible for being an investigator to a case which involves any activity of terrorism, the officer should be either DYSP, Deputy Superintendent of Police, or he should be an Assistant Commissioner rank of the police. Now, by this amendment, we have given the power to NIA officers who are at the rank of inspector or above. They can investigate a case which involves the terrorism. That means even a lower level officer in National Investigation Agency has been empowered to investigate a case which involves any matter of terrorism, maybe terrorism funding, maybe terrorism sympathizing, maybe a case of somebody is making a conspiracy for doing some terrorist activity in the nation or committing a terrorist activity. Point is that the NIA or the Terrorism Acts have become more strict and strong in the nation through the UAPA Amendment Act 2019. We are not entering into discussing either the merits or the demerits of this amendment, or we are not discussing the opinions either supporting or opposing this amendment. That is not required for our prelims examination. We will discuss that in detail when we are making the videos for the UPSC mains examination. These current affairs videos, we are focusing exclusively on 2020 UPSC prelims examination, and that is why we are making only analysis of the content without going into much details for the essay writing that we will do later. Let us focus on the 2020 UPSC Civil Services prelims examination. Once again, best of luck for all of you from Team Academy of Civil Services. Thank you.